7.7, the determinant of a square matrix. What we should learn: find the determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix, how to find minor cofactors of square matrices, and how to find the determinant of any square matrix. So every square matrix has a row number associated with it called a determinant. And a determinant we use for lots of different reasons. Most notably, it helps solve problems. So first, let's talk about how to find the determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix. So this is your 2 by 2 matrix. Easiest way to find the determinant of that is we're going to do the bottom diagonal minus the top diagonal. You can see here. So we're going to determine that A by A of that matrix. We're going to go down minus up. So if we're going to find the determinant of these matrices, when you see this notation, I should say, that means find a determinant. So if you just see, like, instead of having like the full-on bracket, you just see like the absolute value lines. That's a notation that means find a determinant. In this case, it did tell you find a determinant. So this first one, we're just going to go down. Oops. Down. 2 times 2 is 4 minus up. -3. 4 with plus 3 is 7. That's all it is. Here, right? Down 4 minus up 4, and I get 0. Right, we talked about before, that's called a singular matrix. That's a special property. It means it doesn't have no inverse, as we learned last lesson. Okay, and then this one, down 0 minus up 3, so -3. So determinant of a 2 by 2 matrix, pretty simple. How do you do determinants for all matrices? So really what a matrix is you have this what's called a cofactor chart. So it starts with the plus and it alternates. That's all it is. So plus, minus, minus, plus, minus, blah, 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 right? If you do a 4 by 4, no, it's the same thing. Start with the plus, alternate. The next row always starts with the alternating one. So even though here we start with the negative, we're going to start with the negative because as you go down the row, you want to alternate also. And it doesn't matter how big it is. So to find a determinant of any type of matrix, any square matrix, we're going to do what's called expanding by cofactors. So let's first do that with a 2 by 2. So like the one we did here. So I'm going to write the cofactor chart for a 2 by 2. It's going to be plus, minus, minus, plus. Right, so when you expand by cofactors, you can pick any row or column you want. We'll pick the top row. It's generally the easiest to follow. And we're going to circle the first one. And then we're going to cancel out its row and column. So I'm going to go positive 2. And we're going to cancel out those two. And we have a 2 left over. And then I got to do the whole row or column. So now I move over to the 3. Alright, so let's erase that. Oops, too much. Okay, like that. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to circle the next one. And I'm going to cancel its row and column. So circle -3, cancel its row and column. Now I'm going to put a negative in front. I'm still circling the -3, so there's still a -3 there. It's just the sign of this one has a negative itself. That's what the cofactors are for. Right? I cancel its row and column. I'm left with a 1. So we get 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 3 times -1 times 3 is 3. And I get 7. The same thing when we just did. Down diagonal minus up diagonal. Right? 7. So that's expanding by cofactors. You pick any row or column, you circle the first one, cancel out the rest, do what's left over, and then move on until you're done with the whole row or column. Expanding by cofactors. So let's do that with the 3 by 3. So first, right, we're going to do a plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus. Now you don't need to write this every single time. Most of the time people just use the top row, and we know it's plus, minus, plus. The reason I write it out is because sometimes you can use different rows and columns. It'll make life easier. We'll probably touch on that later. But let's just keep it straight and simple right now. We're just going to do the top row. So we're going to have plus, minus, plus. Okay, so the first one, I would circle the 0 and cancel out its row and column. So we're going to have positive 0. And look what's left over. -1, 2, 0, 1. So that's the first one. And then we're going to move on. Next one is a minus. Let me erase this so it's easier to see. That was a minus. Right, and we're going to circle that cofactor, so it's a 2 there. Right, the cofactor is just a minus in front. There's 2. Cancel out its row and column. And you're left with 3, 2, 4, 1. Left with that 2 by 2, right? 3, 2, 4, 1. And then we do the same thing with the last one. All right, we're going to circle that cofactor. This one's a positive in between, so plus. And we have 1. Cancel its row and column, and we're left with 3, -1, 4, 0. Okay, so what do I do next? Well, now I got to solve all these 2 by 2s and then multiply them all together. So when you get to this part, you have to do this 2 by 2. So remember, down minus up, -1 minus 0, so -1. -1 times 0 is 0, so really I didn't have to do anything there. Here I get 3 minus 8, right? Down minus up, so -5. So we have -2 times -5. Over here, 3 times 0 is 0, minus -1 times 4 is -4. So 2 negatives make a positive, I get 4, plus 4. So I get 10 plus 4, which is 14. That's the determinant of this 3 by 3 matrix, 14. So that's how you expand by cofactor. Now we did the top row, but the row we do is you can do any column or row. So actually let's do the exact same matrix and let's do a different column. Let's do a column this time. Let's do this like middle column. So I'm gonna do plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus. Right? And this time let's do the middle column. Just to show you how it works. So it's gonna be minus, plus, minus. Right, so first one's going to be -2, and then we're going to cancel out its row and column, so it's going to circle that one, cancel out that row and column, we're just going to put 3, 2, 4, 1. Then we move on to plus, right, because that's what the cofactor is. And then we're going to circle, since we're doing the second one, plus, right, we're going to circle that one, and cancel out its row and column it's associated with. So I have -1, because that's what the value is, times what's left over, 0, 1, 4, 1. And then last one's going to be minus, the last cofactor here, minus. And it's a 0, so I'm not even going to do the rest because I know it's all 0. Who cares about that one, right? It's a 0 down there, everything else is 0. So all we got to do is simplify this. And hopefully we get the exact same answer, 14. So we're going to do down minus up, so 3 minus 8, so -5. So -2 times -5, plus down is 0, minus up, -4. So I get -4, -1 times -4. And we get 10 plus 4 is 14. So that's how you find the determinant of a 3 by 3 matrix with cofactors. So you expand by cofactors. So you have this cofactor chart, and just pick the row that has most zeros, honestly, or the top row if it's just the easiest. So that's how you do a 3 by 3 by hand. That's how you do a 2 by 2 by hand. Now you could do these with a calculator. Bring my calculator in here. You gotta put our matrix in. So matrix, let's make this a 3 by 3. We have 0, 2, 1, 3, -1, 2, 4, 0, 1. Okay, let's get out of here. Go back to matrix. Now determinants under math, it's an operation. So very first one, determinant. Then you select your matrix, press enter, and 14 just like we got. Okay, one last thing before we go. How do I do something like this? I mean, like that looks insane, right? It's actually not that bad. All we have to do is pick the correct column and row. So like if I'm going to expand, This is by the way, this is a 5 by 5. I should say this first. If you notice here, when you did a 3 by 3, we had to do a lot of 2 by 2s. If you do a 4 by 4, just to give an example, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you do a cofactor, right, you cancel out the row and column, you're doing a 3 by 3. So you're doing one of these. Right, so the bigger you go, the more smaller ones you do. So like this is a 5 by 5. So when I do my cofactor, I'm going to have 4 by 4s. When I do the 4 by 4s, I'm going to have 3 by 3s. When you do 3 by 3s, you have 2 by 2s. Right? So how do I expand something like this? Well, it's all about selecting the right column or row. So I would select this one. And when you know it's a cofactor chart, so remember it starts off plus, minus, plus, blah, 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 right? Well, this is our second one. So this is actually a minus. So this is a minus, and then to minus, plus, minus, plus, minus. You know, I really don't care about the rest. They're all zeros. That's all going to go away. So really all I'm going to do is -2, and then what's left over. Right, so if I circle 2 and cancel all these out. Right, it's only negative because the cofactor is negative. I'm left with this. -2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 0, 4, 0, 6, 2, -1, 0, 3, 5, 1, 0. Well, in here, All right, now, so normally there'll be plus, minus, plus, right? There'll be a bunch of these. But since we picked this one that had a lot of zeros, I only have to do this one here. Well, same thing here, right? In this case, we'll select this column. Right, now in any of the cofactor chart, plus, minus, so it's another minus. So this would be -2 on its own. There's still the -2 on the outside, just so that we know from this guy. Right, and what's going on here? So if I select this -2, I'm going to cancel out this row and that column, and we're left times by this 3 by 3. 1, 0, 4, 6, 2, -1, 3, 5, 1. Right, so we have this 3 by 3 we have to fix. Now this one, I was hoping there would be a double 0 again, but there's not. So this one we just got to do the 3 by 3 like normal. Once we get our answer, times it by -2, times it by -2 again. Or I guess in this case, just times it by 4. So we essentially just have this. Like that. And all we gotta do is expand this one. So let's just do the top row, because that's easiest. Plus, minus, plus. So circle the 1, cross out the row and column. So we're gonna get 1 times 2, -1, 5, 1. And minus 0, don't need to do anything because it's a 0 for this one. And then we're gonna do plus, so let's just make that 0, so it's 4 times what? Let me do a different color. Circle the 4, cancel this and out. So we have 6, 2, 3, and 5. And don't forget, all this is being multiplied by 4 on the outside. So all we gotta do is do each of these and then simplify it. So this is down minus up, 2 minus -5. So 2 plus 5 is 7 times 1. That's 0. Over here, down minus up, so 30 minus 6, so 24. Times by 4, not pretty, that is 1696. So 7 plus 96 is going to be 103. Times 4 is 412. And that is the determinant of this guy. And just to show you that it's correct, I did type it into my calculator. Second matrix. You can see that C down there. So you can see it. So let's do the determinant, make sure it's right. So second matrix, and do the determinant of our matrix C. I put it for C. And we get 412. So that's how you do the determinant of any size square matrix, right? It's all about cofactors right here. But if you do a 2 by 2, just go down minus up. Anyway, that's the lesson.